In the bustling town of Motorville, where every car had a personality and a story to tell, lived a brilliant detective named Axel Drivewell. Axel wasn't just any car. He was a sleek, silver 1967 Chevrolet Impala with a reputation for solving the most perplexing mysteries that rolled into town. His chrome was always polished, his engine always purred smoothly, and his mind was as sharp as a turbocharged engine. One sunny morning, as Axel was polishing his hood outside his quaint garage, his assistant, a spunky red Mini Cooper named Minnie Cooper, zipped in, her tires screeching to a halt. "Axel, you won't believe what's happened!" Minnie exclaimed, her headlights wide with concern. "What is it, Minnie?" Axel asked, looking up from his polishing cloth. "The biggest gear in Motorville's clock tower has gone missing," Minnie said, her voice trembling with urgency. "Mayor Cadence is in a tizzy. Without that gear, the entire town clock will stop, and the annual carnival will be ruined." Axel revved his engine thoughtfully. The Motorville clock tower was the pride of the town, a majestic structure that not only kept time, but also served as the town's beating heart. "All right, Minnie, let's head over to the clock tower and see what we can find out," Axel said, determination glinting in his headlights. They drove swiftly through the streets of Motorville, passing by cars of all makes and models, all whispering about the missing gear. When they arrived at the clock tower, a crowd had already gathered. Mayor Cadence, a stately Cadillac, was addressing the townsfolk. "Rest assured, everyone, we will find the missing gear and have the clock running before the carnival begins," she said, trying to keep the panic out of her voice. Axel and Minnie pushed through the crowd and approached the mayor. "Mayor Cadence, we'd like to help," Axel said firmly. "Oh, thank goodness you're here, Detective Drivewell," the mayor said, relief washing over her. "We need your expertise more than ever." Axel and Minnie were quickly led into the clock tower. The inside was a marvel of engineering, with gears and cogs of all sizes meticulously arranged. But the largest gear, the one that drove the entire mechanism, was conspicuously absent. "This is where the gear was located," Mayor Cadence explained, pointing to an empty shaft. "It was here yesterday evening, and this morning it was gone." Axel examined the area carefully. There were no obvious signs of tampering, but something didn't sit right with him. "Minnie, let's check the security footage," he said. Minnie, always prepared, pulled out a tablet from her trunk. With a few clicks, she accessed the clock tower's security cameras. They watched as the footage from the previous night played out. At precisely 2 a.m., a shadowy figure appeared, moving with surprising agility. The figure worked quickly, dismantling the gear and hauling it away. "Pause it right there," Axel instructed. Minnie froze the frame. Axel scrutinized the figure. It was impossible to tell who it was, but there was something familiar about the way it moved. "We need to find out where that gear was taken," Axel said. "Let's head to the Motorville junkyard. If someone's trying to hide a large gear, that's the most likely place." The Motorville junkyard was a sprawling maze of old car parts, scrap metal, and rusted machinery. It was run by Rusty, a grizzled old tow truck who had seen better days. Axel and Minnie found Rusty near the entrance, lifting an old engine block with his powerful crane. "Rusty, we need your help," Axel said. "Ah, Detective Drivewell, what brings you to my humble abode?" Rusty asked, his voice a low rumble. "We're looking for a missing gear from the clock tower," Axel explained. "Have you seen anything unusual around here?" Rusty scratched his rusty hood thoughtfully. "Well, I did see a suspicious character skulking around last night. Didn't get a good look, but they were hauling something big." "Can you show us where?" Axel asked. Rusty led them through the winding paths of the junkyard to a secluded area. There, partially hidden under a pile of old tires, was the missing gear. "Well, I'll be dipped in motor oil," Rusty said. "How did I miss that?" Axel inspected the gear. It was undamaged but covered in a strange, oily residue. "This isn't over yet," he said. "We need to find out who took it and why." Back at the clock tower, Axel and Minnie analyzed the residue. It was a special kind of lubricant used only in high-performance racing engines. "There aren't many cars in Motorville that use this type of lubricant," Minnie said. "Maybe we should check out the racing track." The Motorville Raceway was a hub of activity, with cars of all kinds zooming around the track, practicing for the upcoming Carnival race. Axel and Minnie made their way to the pit area, where they found Blaze, a flashy red sports car with a reputation for bending the rules. "Blaze, we need to ask you a few questions," Axel said, his tone serious. "Hey, detective, what's up?" Blaze said, his engine idling smoothly. "We found some lubricant at the scene of a crime, and it matches the kind you use," Axel said. "Do you know anything about the missing gear from the clock tower?" Blaze revved his engine nervously. "Look, I had nothing to do with that. I was here all night, tuning my engine. You can ask anyone." Axel glanced at Minnie, who was checking Blaze's alibi with the other racers. "He's telling the truth, Axel. He was here all night," she confirmed. "All right, Blaze, but stay close. We might need to ask you more questions," Axel said, turning away. As they drove back to the clock tower, Axel pondered the clues. The shadowy figure, the lubricant, Blaze's nervousness. It all pointed to something bigger than a simple theft. "Let's check the parts shops," Axel suggested. "Maybe someone bought or sold something that can give us a lead." At Max's Auto Parts, they spoke with Max, a burly pickup truck who knew everything about car parts. "A big gear, you say?" Let me check my records," Max said, scrolling through his database. "Here it is. Someone bought a high-performance gear lubricant 2 days ago, paid in cash, didn't leave a name, but they were driving a black sedan." "A black sedan," Axel mused. "We're getting closer." They drove through the streets of Motorville, keeping an eye out for any black sedans. It wasn't long before they spotted one parked outside an old warehouse on the edge of town. "This could be it," Axel said. "Let's be careful." They approached the warehouse cautiously. The doors were slightly ajar, and inside they could hear the faint hum of machinery. Axel and Minnie slipped inside, their engines purring softly to avoid detection. In the dim light, they saw a group of cars gathered around the missing gear, which was now hooked up to some kind of strange device. At the center of the group was a sleek black sedan with tinted windows. "Who are they?" Minnie whispered. "I don't know, but we're about to find out," Axel replied, moving closer. Suddenly, the black sedan turned and spotted them. "Intruders!" it shouted, its headlights flaring. The group of cars turned, engines roaring. Axel and Minnie backed up, ready for a chase. "Run, Minnie!" Axel shouted, and they sped out of the warehouse with the black sedan and its cronies hot on their tail. The chase through Motorville was intense. Axel and Minnie weaved through traffic, dodging obstacles and trying to lose their pursuers. But the black sedan was relentless, closing in with every turn. "We need to split up," Axel shouted. "I'll lead them away. You get back to the clock tower and alert the mayor." Minnie hesitated, but knew Axel was right. "Be careful, Axel," she called, peeling off towards the clock tower. Axel floored it, leading the black sedan on a wild chase through the winding streets of Motorville. He took sharp turns, sped through narrow alleys, and even jumped a few curbs, but the black sedan stayed right behind him. Finally, Axel saw his chance. Up ahead was the old car wash, abandoned for years, but still filled with twists and turns. Axel swerved inside, hoping the tight space would slow his pursuers down. The black sedan followed, but the narrow corridors and sudden turns of the car wash proved too much. Axel navigated through with ease, but the black sedan struggled, eventually crashing into a wall of old brushes. Axel sped out of the car wash, leaving the black sedan behind. He made his way back to the clock tower, where Minnie and Mayor Cadence were waiting with a group of concerned townsfolk. "Axel, you're okay!" Minnie exclaimed, relief in her voice. "I'm fine, but we need to act fast," Axel said. "The gear is in an old warehouse on the edge of town, and there's a group of cars trying to use it for something." Mayor Cadence nodded. "We'll alert the authorities. Thank you, Axel." With the police on their way, Axel and Minnie led a convoy of cars back to the warehouse. When they arrived, the group of cars was gone, but the gear and the strange device were still there. "What is this?" Minnie asked, inspecting the device. Axel examined it closely. "It looks like some kind of transmitter. They were trying to use the gear to power it, but for what?" As they pondered the device, the police arrived and secured the area. The black sedan and its cronies were nowhere to be found, but the mystery of the missing gear was finally solved. Over the next few days, the gear was reinstalled in the clock tower, and the clock was up and running just in time for the carnival. The townsfolk cheered as the clock struck noon, signaling the start of the festivities. Axel and Minnie watched from a distance, satisfied with a job well done. "Another mystery solved, partner," Axel said, his engine purring contentedly. "Yeah, but I have a feeling this isn't the last we've seen of that black sedan," Minnie replied, her headlights narrowing with determination. "Maybe not, but we'll be ready," Axel said, his hood gleaming in the sunlight. And so, as the town of Motorville celebrated, Detective Axel Drivewell and his trusty assistant Minnie Cooper stood ready for whatever mysteries might come their way, knowing that together they could solve any case, no matter how challenging. The end.